Hey everyone, hope you guys are having the best day ever. So we are back again with another episode with regards to your fitness, health and mindset. So today we are going to be talking about an important topic with regards to, are you training really hard enough? So that's something I'm going to be deep diving into, and it's going to be under 4 segments. So one of the reasons why I wanted to do this live podcast episode is because of the fact that many of my clients, when they actually start the process, they don't understand the concept of the importance of training to failure. Many people believe it's about falling down in the gym floor, because I used to believe that when I first started my fitness journey, and those were the mistakes I used to make. So just to give you a life update a little bit, before we actually deep dive into this podcast episode, is the fact that my Facebook page got completely disabled last week. So that actually was unexpected. So I lost my client community all over. So on the weekends, all I did was actually creating it back again. So we are in a different platform right now. So Facebook doesn't exist anymore for me. Maybe the Team Empire page does, but I just don't have access to it anymore. So the good news is, but anyway, it's not been hacked. It's just the fact that it's been disabled, which I do not know what the reason is. But anyway, shit moves on. Shit happens. Entrepreneurs solve problems. So that's the mindset you need to live in. So things like that happens. It's all about moving forward. Just like in fitness, when you go off track for a day or a week, all you got to do is just pick back up, not start fresh. So all I did was actually picking back up and getting things done. So what I say in fitness, I apply to other parts of my life as well. So that's actually what the life update was. So wasn't actually a bigger issue, because there's technology available, so you can actually do stuff for that. So going into this podcast episode, first thing you need to understand is what is actual failure. Does it mean you need to be dead on the floor when you are finishing your sets? Not exactly. You don't need to collapse in the gym. You don't need to go into a level even where you do not feel you can't actually move anything. That's actually at certain points, but for certain people who are actually based on certain goals. But the most important factor about training to failure, or else training closer to failure, is not stopping when it just gets discomfortable. It's actually where you do not actually progress better in the gym. So when your goal is to lose fat and build muscle, improve your body composition, the important factor is to train closer to failure, because it's not about just the diet which will get you the results. If your goal is to build muscle, you need to make sure you train accordingly as well, because exercise does play a part when it comes to building muscle. Because when you're losing body fat and building muscles at the same time, that's going to be beneficial for you, because your metabolism will go higher, because 1 pound of muscle will be increasing your maintenance calories by 20 calories. So that's if you put on 5 pounds of muscle, as an example, that'll add you 100 calories. So yesterday I had a chat with a client who he's been losing 11 kilos, and for the past 8 weeks he's been maintaining it by eating a little bit more. So definitely when you check the pictures, I can definitely see he has built a lot of muscle during that process. So just going back into this topic again, training closer to failure means when you actually do your working set, when you finish your set, if you are only able to do another 2 more reps with it, that means you're trained closer to failure. So that's the level a general population needs to train. But what really happens is people actually take it too easy, and where they actually end up not even getting closer to failure. They probably end up being 10 reps short of being closer to failure. So that's not going to make any progress whatsoever. If your goal is to lose body fat, yes, with the diet you will get there. But if your goal is to improve your muscle mass, that's an area you need to actually give significant focus on. So So mainly like it's pretty much about like you not being able to perform with the proper form. That will actually like train closer to failure. Like when you are completing your reps, the last couple of reps, if it's harder, like when you like do let's say a bench press, if the last couple of reps keeps getting slower, that means like you're training closer to failure. So but like if the reps are moving the same speed, like from rep 1 to rep 10, that means you're doing a warm-up. It's not a working set, and it's actually completely a waste of time. So the other factor I want to like make sure we debunk is the fact that the difference between feeling tired and also reaching a point where your muscles are physically can't perform another rep. So feeling tired means like if you haven't recovered well, that means like it's not a time where you can actually like properly do the session properly. So recovery is a very important factor when it comes to building muscle, because you can't actually build muscle with a 4-hour sleep, because recovery is what actually builds muscle. So when your recovery isn't actually at the best level, that's not gonna actually get the results done. So segment 2 is actually the misconception. So these are the misconceptions you get from these uncles and aunties and all kinds of people like who are fitness experts. No offense, but your advice is useless, to be really honest. Like just want to put it out there, because when you do not understand a certain topic, just don't actually like be a person who gives advice just because you're an adult, because we live in a 21st century and you need to be a person who listens to other people. So just because I've come across a family background where I was completely like not let never told me, never gave the opportunity to actually like talk about my feelings or talk about like my beliefs, because adults has had some other beliefs and I had to respect that no matter what. There's a psychological concept to it, which I'll actually talk about it later down the line, but not ready to open up about it yet. But I will at one point. But just want to say the fact that like that's one of the environments I grew up in. But the reason why I came to Australia and now I still live here, like away from these families and everything, is because of the fact that like that was pretty much the reason. Because I'm not the kind of a person who keep my mouth shut when some adult would say like some bullshit which is completely wrong. So I'm a person like that. So that's actually my story. So going back into misconception, because we are actually like moving away from the topic and talking about some other aspects about like what I've gone through in life. But anyway, moving into this topic, like these uncles and aunties would say training to failure is dangerous. They might not even know, or else like let's put it in a simple perspective. These aunties and uncles would tell you like don't lift weights, it's dangerous. Well, you should stop eating all these sugars and all these things because your levels are really high and it's disgusting. So talking about this concept of being dangerous, what you need to understand is the fact that like with proper form and also more control, it's safe and effective. So that's simply putting it out there. It's safe and effective as long as the form and the control is there when you're actually a beginner at training. So, and the second thing is the fact that like you should train closer to failure every single set. So let me actually like talk about it. There's a truth to it, and also something in my opinion I wouldn't believe like isn't actually the truth, but if you actually do that like all 3 sets, that's going to be beneficial. Yes, overdo, but the problem has become like where you're overdoing it. So when you're actually like overdoing it, let's say like your ego lifting, that's where the burnouts happen. That's where like you need to understand it needs to be strategic. So let's talk about 3 sets of bench press, like how you need to train the next week when you actually train. Let's say like you train bench press and you do 20 kilos into 10 reps. You were given like 8 to 10 reps in all 3 sets. And when you were doing that, like the first set you got 20 into 10, the second set you got 20 into 10, and the third set you failed at 8. So, and you think like you're actually not training hard enough. But if you failed at 8, that means you've done the job right. So your goal next week isn't to actually go 22.5. You can do 10 reps in the first set, 10 reps in the second, third set, aim to hit 9 and 10. So how you need to actually increase progressive overload is actually this. So your training volume and the mechanical tension are the important factors. So when it comes to training volume, so 10 into 20, the first set is actually 200. The second set, 10 into 20 is another 200. And the third set, you did 20 into 8, and that's actually 160. So all you need to do is to make that 160 go a little bit higher. So, but if you're not recovered well when you're doing the next session, you might not be able to hit it. So just don't get discouraged. It's actually a sign that you're not recovered well. So you need to work on that aspect before you actually like work out. So it doesn't mean there's an issue with you, because today I had a conversation with a client check-in with regards to that aspect. So he understood that. So he said like he wasn't able to push, and I asked him how was his sleep last night. It was 4 hours. So that was the reason. So as a coach, like I know these things. So basically that's pretty much it with regards to that. So you need to recover well, because that's a very important aspect. And the third factor is another thing, like uncles and aunties will tell you like only bodybuilders need to lift weight. What a load of crap. So truth is, like even if you are in the age of 60s, 70s or 80s, if you do strength training, doesn't mean like the strength training like bodybuilders do, or like I do, or like anyone who trains hard does. Little bit of movement with strength training does help you improve your strength and also improve your like all aspects of life. People think like just doing chores at home, like going around cleaning, cooking and everything, it's what you need to actually like be fit. But in reality, that's not the case. Like that's actually like something you do in order to survive, and that's not training. That's just barely survive. So just letting you know, if the uncles and aunties who tell you not to train closer to failure because only bodybuilders are supposed to do it, like that's a load of crap. Just take it from this year and leave it from here, because that's the best way to deal with it. So either way, the third thing I want to actually like cover up is actually the psychology behind pushing limits. So often our body and mind is the fact that training closer to failure is actually about challenging yourself. So it doesn't mean your muscles needs to be broken completely where you burn out. It means you're breaking through that mental barrier. So let's say last week, like I said in the previous example, like you were pushing the 8th rep, and maybe like the 9th rep will be coming slowly and steadily, and you go a little bit up and you completely couldn't able to push it. That's actually another aspect I want to talk about, because that's where like creatine comes into the equation, and it will be beneficial. Because when you're struggling with that last rep, like when you're hitting the 9th rep, and if you actually stop before you actually lock it in, that small push is what creatine does to help you. That's a different day, different topic, but just to give you a small example, like that's the benefit creatine gives you. And if anybody tells you creatine helps you build muscle, there's a long ass story and an indirect relationship to it. Yes, it does, because it helps you improve strength and train closer to failure, and it goes water into your muscle cells, and it will help you look fuller and bigger, pumped up. So when you have creatine, that's the small benefit you get. So always understand this aspect, like which is actually the segment 4, like I want to cover up, is the fact that like whatever the hell you do with training closer to failure, you must recover well in order to do that. If you are not recovered well, that's not gonna help you in the process, because it's gonna make the process much difficult for you. And number 4 is actually training closer to failure needs to be safe. That's true. And this is where it's important for you to choose the right exercise to train closer to failure, like compound lifts, like bench press, even squats for a certain extent. When you're performing it, don't perform it like when there's nothing in the squat rack where there's no pins, because if you fall down, you just need to make sure you actually fall safely. So that's where like the two large pins are there in the gym. So in case you fall down, you just fall it over there and you don't get injured whatsoever. Because I've seen a lot of people dying because they were actually training closer to failure, like mostly actually powerlifters, unfortunate. But you need to understand, like, you need to focus on safety. And the other way you can actually use a safety measurement would be actually using a spotter. So spotters come in two ways, like the spotter who actually completely help you like to lift the weight, or else like I would usually do is actually ask them to spot with these small fingers, because this small push is what's required, not like this, because that's not like spotting you, that's actually like lifting your weights. So the third thing with regards to this segment is actually your third and fourth is actually listening to your body and recovering well. So that's a must and a non-negotiable, because if you do not do that, you won't be able to train closer to failure, because you're not going to be able to push hard. You will feel tired, fatigued, and one moment it will come and it will be a time you will think that I need to give up because nothing ever works for me. I've seen a lot of people going through that process, so I don't want you to be the same. So hope this was a valuable podcast, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this. And if there's any questions, you can actually reach out to me on my Instagram. There's a YouTube channel going on. So let me know what you think. And if you like this podcast, just make sure to subscribe, give me a follow, and share it with anybody who gets help with it. So have a great day, guys. Talk to you soon.